everyone. Welcome to our QA review, our semi-annual QA review with Jose Rodriguez. Jose, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, everybody. Construction. It's a nice weather. I have the windows open, but we have construction in the area. So, all right. So, hopefully you guys are getting the updates from the academy, and I'm gonna grab screen share here. So, like I said, hopefully you guys are grabbing or are getting. I should not say grabbing. You guys are getting the updates that are coming out every time there's a software update from the academy. Sorry, from Party Dispatch. I'm host. I'm sharing right now the Pro QA one. Can you guys see my screen? Hopefully.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the last one that was released, which was 5.1.1.39. The biggest change on that really came in. There was two. One for the new EIDS. Well, is it new anymore? For the EIDS tool, they added a couple of questions. Has a patient tested positive for COVID in the last 14 days? If yes, that statement can be sent to CAT as an urgent message, which is the default setting I'm in. It can be turned off. The other big change, along with bug fixes and stuff like that, the compression monitor tool, hopefully if you guys have downloaded the new medical version, you've seen some major changes on it. But now it looks like a little different, including some of the instructions are now here for first breath and subsequent breath. But let me scroll up here to give you the bullet. So when known, the age button is pre-selected upon opening the tool for child, infant, newborn, and neonate, and the appropriate compression rate is already selected. The metronome or the bouncing green bar on the counter panel has been replaced with count numbers 1 through 4, 1 through 5 for newborn and neonate. Any reference to a metronome has been removed from the additional information panel. When the pause for breath button is selected, breathing instructions will be displayed according to the patient's age and whether it has been reported that the patient has a tracheostomy. Buttons to start the counter again or to return to PIs will also be displayed. When the evaluate breathing button is selected, instructions will be displayed to evaluate breathing and to return to chest compressions if breathing is uncertain or agonal. Two buttons will be displayed to return to ProQA if breathing is found to be possible or obviously effective. The actual compression rate deliver panel and ideal compression panels have been removed. The resume and finish buttons have also been replaced with pause for breath, evaluate breathing, and clear restart buttons. A refuse mouth-to-mouth button has been added beneath the unlimited button. A resume counter button has been added beneath that counter. So again, looking at the button or looking at the tool now, you'll notice that you have the pause for breath, evaluate breathing. I think they just took a breath. Just click on that. And then depending on what is known at that point, the instructions will be specific, as I mentioned, to that age group or what's going on with the patient with the tracheostomy or not. Same thing with the pause for breath. They'll pop up. And then once you give those instructions, and depending on the answer, you can start the counter again, or you'll be able to go back into your, if they start breathing, go back into your ProQA and do what they need to do there. On the fire side, again, EIDS tool, the two new questions, again, has the patient tested positive for 14 days, and has the patient received the COVID vaccination been added. In the trigger mode, if the 14 days, again, we'll do a urgent message. When the EIDS tool is launched, from the key questions, entry level coronavirus illness concern. Again, this is coming in from, I just realized there's a typo. Actually, this is just the EIDS tool in general, I'm sorry. On protocol 6, 10, 13, 26, we'll automatically select the correct answer to the follow-up. So you'll get these pop-ups, and then you hit OK, and it'll send that urgent message. So some other minor changes, like I said, there's some bug fixes and all that. I can definitely, I can share this document if you guys have not received it from PDC. I can share this document in the chat so you guys can kind of go through all the little details. But I wanted to make sure I cover the important changes. The compression tool is the biggest one. So we have for UK specifics, obviously that doesn't apply to you guys. There's a lot of changes there, but again, it doesn't apply to you guys there in Maine. Childbirth delivery, adjusted to clean string shoelace to emphasize the caller should use a clean string, not one right off their shoe that's been in the mud, snow, and that kind of stuff. So some changes there. Open the safety pin and use a sharp end to tear a hole in a fluid-filled space of the sac. Careful not to cut the baby, so little rewording there. Let's see. Again, same thing with safety pin and shoelace, first party. The answer choice of injectable EpiPen for the key question, does she have any specific injection or medicines to treat this type of reaction, was replaced by two new answer choices. Injectable EpiPen patients and injectable EpiPen available at the scene, if somebody else has it available. If it hasn't been used yet, the caller will be advised to use it if either one of those answer choices are selected. For choking, again, if the question is answered yes or unknown and the breathing question is answered as no or uncertain, the code now codes as an 11 echo 1. This affects only the case in which the verified choking complete obstruction echo fast track was not used on the question. Okay, tell me exactly what happened. A recent ground level fall with unknown cause and no injuries code is now as a 17 alpha 4 public assist with no injuries and no priority symptoms. And again, some other minor changes, wording and stuff like that. Now there's fire. Okay. Some protocol and logic changes against service call. Key question, can it be unlocked remotely, was changed to can the door be unlocked remotely? This will make the question easier to understand when the locked in and locked out of the building subchief complaint selected. Suffixes I, Indigo, V, Victor, W, Whiskey were disqualified in the determinant code 59 Delta 1, Delta 2, Delta 3, and admin response configuration because they are not achievable in ProQA. So you won't, they're not in the response configuration. You just won't see them. Is a spill in or near a waterway? Is now asked for inside fuel spill to allow a sewer drain spill to be selected. Suffixes H, Hotel, T, Tango, U, uniform were disqualified in term code 71 Bravo 4, Delta 5. Again, suffixes are not achievable in ProQA because the key question, what type of cargo is the vehicle carrying? That drives hazmat related suffix was not asked for large fuel fire load vehicles. In the motor vehicle collision protocol 77, the discipline launcher option for medical was activated on the answer yes. Enter description, to the key question, are there any obvious injuries in admin response configuration? The no suffix option was disqualified on 77 Bravo 2, vehicle on fire, no injuries and no hazard in admin response configuration. By definition, this code will always have one of the fire-related suffixes attached to it. And on protocol 53, again, can it be unlocked remotely was changed to can the door be unlocked remotely? This will make the question easier to understand when the locked in and locked out of building subchief complaint selected. And this is police, so again, you guys are not in police right now. And that's it on ProQA. Again, I'll share this document on the chat as soon as I'm done talking. I have a moment to drop it in there. And then for Aqua, just got released about 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago. The biggest change is just to match the new advanced compression monitor tool. That way everything matches together. So that was the biggest change on Aqua. They've added obviously a screenshot of it as they've done with some of the other tools in Aqua. And again, they've added a new statement, has been added on the new standards to be used when reviewing the advanced compression monitor. That's all not included in Aqua. So ECN users, that doesn't apply to you guys. A hover over, so an updated feature, a hover over help has been added to the key question table as the verbiage may be too long to display. Again, the advanced compression monitor tool has replaced the advanced compression in level 2 table. You guys are not Arabic as far as I know. And new feature feedback given has been added into the column tables when running reports to allow agencies to only print out those reports that have been that have had feedback given to them. So that's this column right here. So you guys can now filter by that, only looking for feedback given ones. Looking at the compression monitor tool, again, they've added a new table to account for the PIs that are now found in the advanced compression monitor tool. So remember those breathing instructions, that kind of stuff that's been added in ProQA. So we got to make sure we account for that in Aqua, and then the PIs are accounted for. So if you look at here, this is your normal PI tool. This is PIs when they're using the AICD. PDI hasn't changed. That'll still be in the next section down if you were looking at Aqua, but now we have the advanced compression monitor tool here to score that. And again, you guys are not EPD users. In the reports, the QA summary subheading has been changed to accommodate longer languages. Again, we were okay in the US, but accommodate other languages that we teach or use. Again, minor word changes, again, to match up with the new stuff that was released in ProQA. So that's what I have in updates so far. One of the other updates that we're looking, again, just so you guys are aware of what's coming down the pike, is we are exploring ProQA Discovery. We're looking into it. ProQA Discovery is a light version of ProQA. It's going to be web-based. It's for agencies that they don't have capabilities of having a full-on ProQA. So that's still in the discovery stage of ProQA Discovery. And that's it from me on updates. So I guess we'll open it up to the floor now for you guys.
First, does anyone have any questions specifically for 5.1.1.39 ProQA or Aqua 7105? We'll start with that. If you want, you can post your question in the chat as well. Thank you, Jose, for sharing that. Yeah, I received the email about 3.9 on February 11th and on Aqua on March 2nd. So hopefully everyone else did receive that as well.
And I just dropped in the Aqua now too.
Great, thank you. Okay, I guess we'll move on to questions for the good, questions that concerns or things that people have had at their own centers. We'll open it up to the floor for now, and then at the end I'll go down and just double check with each participant, make sure they did or did not have anything to add. So the floor is open for those. I know some of you have you bring a list of questions or concerns, so chime in now. Go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your questions.
Hey, Corey and Jose, it's Laura. I've only got two this go round.
Okay.
So one on our list is, so the question always comes up, and I thought there was an article or something on it, but I can't seem to find it. When you ask the caller what caused the fall on protocol 17, caller replies something along the lines of weakness or I'm old, my knees gave out. What option do we choose? Because generally, I think most people are just going with accidental, but accidental doesn't really describe weakness all that well. So not sure if there's something that's more, the protocol has a better intention towards, or what we should be using.
Sorry, I'm here talking to myself and forgot to unmute myself. You think after a year we'd get used to this already. So is that question coming up with the weakness? Is that coming up in case entry 3 or once you're in key questions already after a fall?
In key questions already after a fall.
Okay, so what caused the fall? Okay.
Yeah.
Right now, that is, I know it doesn't answer what they're going for, but based on the answer choices, that is the best answer. It is accidental. The knees gave out. It accidentally happened. Because it's, obviously it's not any of the other things. What you can do is, once you choose accidental, obviously either in the CAD notes or in the ProQA itself, in the comments, you can add knees are giving out. Again, remember in ProQA, we're looking for that medical etiology of why somebody fell. Like they said, they added that new code now, that's 17, forget what it was, 17 Alpha 2, I believe. So hold on, let's put back my screen here. So complete alert, I'm assuming was good. Was there any injuries at all in that particular?
I mean, it's one we get all the time. So usually if we get injuries, they're, minor, very, very minor. So.
Okay. Let me go with non-injuries. Was he still on the floor? That's why he's calling, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you end up with that 17 Alpha 4, the public assist, if there's no injuries. Knees gave out. Unless something triggers it, like, obviously there's more like serious hemorrhage or possible dangers, or, the extreme of falling down the stairs, that kind of stuff. But, if everything's good, accidental is the best choice to go with there. There is really nothing else. Because knees giving out is just, it is what it is. I don't want to sound insensitive, but, it's part of old age.
Right.
I'm in my 50s and my knees give out now, so I hate to wait when I get into my 70s what I'm going to be like. So hopefully that answered your question.
It does. We were just kind of trying to double check ourselves that that's where we were going. I think that's where most people go. So.
Yep.
And our other thing was just, this is a call that came in and kind of threw us for a loop at the time, and we threw it out to the True to Q. A lot of people just answered we should use protocol COVID. So we had a couple different calls for the same incident where all of the callers described a flaming letter on fire in the sky that fell on a gas tank. It was actually the lettering above a mobile station that caught on fire and fell on top of the canopy over the gas tanks. And just trying to come up with what protocol best addressed that. Between outdoor fire or, like people have brought up raised elevated fire. And I forgot to bring my book with me, so going through it, but it was one of those in the heat of the moment. What on earth do we do with this call?
I would probably, why would they go with elevated fire? Because it was up on a sign at the moment?
Yep, it was up on, it ended up being on the canopy that was over the gas pumps. So it was outdoor. Some people said outdoor fire, some people said electrical fire. It kind of ran the.
I would probably go, with electrical, but I would not necessarily be wrong with outdoor fire. The reason why I'm leaning towards electrical, again, to, like it says here in the rule, to address any scene safeties if we need to turn off the power. But if it completely, like it caught fire and completely detached from the original sign, one letter out of however many there were and fell on a canopy, outside fire will be the best option after that. So I guess it really depends on, was it still attached to power or not when it caught fire?
Yep. Yeah, I'm trying to remember now. I think it ended up like hanging and landed on top of the canopy on fire. So
I'll probably go with electrical fire. But the other thing that concerns me is the fact that it's over a gas tank.
Yep.
Or gas pump, you said. That
Yep.
kind of alerts me because, it's a different type of response. Because then you got hazmat kind of, or I'm guessing you guys will respond hazmat to that kind of call. Or at least alert them to the fact of that.
Yeah, that's what we were kind of struggling with. Is there something that would tell them to shut off the gas tanks? And we couldn't figure out a protocol that would instruct somebody to shut off gas tanks. So.
Yeah. Because even if you go outside tank fire, which technically the tank is not a fire, so that wouldn't be appropriate. It's only dealing with natural LP. It's not really talking with the actual fuel.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it was just an odd one, and the dispatcher did great with it in the heat of the moment. But afterwards, we got talking about it, and we're like, "What should we have done with this?" So.
Yeah, I guess it really depends. I mean, is there? You know what? Can you put that scenario in my in the chat here, and I'm gonna check my fire guys to see. But Again, I'm leaning towards, because it's still attached to electrical, the potential turning off or the instruction of turning off the electric. But I'm more concerned the fact that it's over a tank. But the tank hadn't caught fire yet, though, right?
Right. It was over. Yeah, it was over a row of gas pumps.
Yeah.
So,
So definitely, I don't think it would have been fire, or not fuel tank fire. But I'll find out from Jay. I'll ask Jay if it's
well, thank you. That's all I had. So,
Do have another question from
Yeah.
Julia Gillespie at
Yeah.
Cumberland County.
I was trying to read that one.
I don't have she didn't have a mic available, but her
Right.
question was that she ran into a call recently, which was a very expected death and was bravoed right out correctly. But lacking a patient, the EIDS tool was not employed, even though there was still someone on scene who would be meeting face to face with responders. General consensus on whether EIDS still should have been used for the person who was on scene, even though not the actual patient.
That's a good one. The thing with the EIDS tool, remember you can launch the EIDS tool at any time if you need to. And then obvious death, it probably, well, we know for a fact it's not going to launch it. If you guys feel like you need to use it, and again, this is where I kind of deflect to your local medical director and your local state guidance on that. As far as you guys know, did the patient test positive for COVID? Julia? Right, no, I would definitely not gig them, but yeah. So Nathaniel responded to Julia there too. I definitely would not. I'm sorry.
Sorry, this is Melissa from Maine EMS. I can speak to that in accordance with our recommendations, our guidelines from Maine EMS.
Sure, go ahead.
So according to the Maine EMS guidelines, the EIDS tool should be used for all patients, including transfers, right? And even with a death, an obvious death, we still have a patient. So, depending on your local policies, do you dispatch EMS to that or not? You're still sending someone. Someone's going to have contact not only with that patient, the obvious death patient, but as you say, Julia, the folks who are on scene. And there are obviously screening questions within the tool that are appropriate for that. So Jose, here in Maine, we have some medical director approved questions that include asking about anyone on scene. Is anyone there a positive COVID-19 patient? And responders will be notified if any persons on scene who meet the criteria, or if the caller offers that the home or the facility is experiencing a COVID-19 outbreak. And that sort of covers any residential facility as well. But as far as I'm concerned, I think it should have been used. And when we talk about dinging people, that's not something that you would necessarily mark them off on your Aqua report for ProQA, but that's a local policy that they should be educated on for the next time.
So does that answer the question, Julia? Okay, perfect. Nathaniel, see that being said, I asked Maine EMS once, and they don't recommend asking others about if all bystanders or as more contact is being made with patients. So
well, I'm on here. I guess it was a few months ago, and I asked. I think some people were starting to ask, is anyone in the house got any COVID-19 symptoms? Is this? It was more like, well, it's more one-on-one with the patient when EMS gets there, and we really mostly care. And that's where I was coming at with that. And as far as asking about bystanders and everyone else in the house, and that it gets kind of wild and out of control, I guess. But I wanted to get clarification on that back in like 4 or 5 months ago, which I did. And but I type really poorly, so it probably looks like a mess.
Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, it's just a general question. That one general question, is anyone there, tested positive for COVID-19? So we don't get into specifics, right? We shouldn't prolong this
Yeah.
questioning period. But we also early on put out a statement, a joint statement with the Maine Fire Chiefs Association and the Maine Police Chiefs Association, encouraging that sort of questioning. It was non-specific because we can't specify that for all callers, but encouraging that all callers to the PSAP or the dispatch center be queried in some manner about symptoms or positive cases on scene, and encouraged to mask when they have contact with any responders, police, fire, and EMS. So I can send that around again if that's helpful, but again, it was non-specific. It was just a statement encouraging a quick screening of all calls.
Makes sense. I have a question unrelated, if I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it has to do with the EMD EFD software, and I know once upon a time, and I just tried it again right now. So you're in the EFD software, you go into the back end of it to whatever admin side of it, and you go down to like car accident and go to the launcher thing. So I thought once upon a time they talked, okay, if there's injuries, it could end up launching the medical side. So I went in there, I saw something, is there obvious injuries? I changed it from not available to medical, thinking, okay, maybe this will launch it. And it might be specific to my CAD and to our IMC software, but basically when I do a test call and hit that and get to that point, I just get error messages on my software, like on my IMC stuff, not on the CAD stuff, not on the EMD software. So I was curious if that's if it's supposed to like launch it basically, and if those errors are more specific probably to IMC than they are to the EMD software.
Are you talking the multi-discipline launcher?
Yeah, so if you were in a fire call and it gets to the point of an injury, and as long as you've approved that it would launch it, it would open up and launch EMD instead, so you'd start asking the questions about injuries.
I don't know why that's not working. I think that'd be a great thing to continue. And I'm sure you probably have an answer, Jose, but I think we should also, after the call throughout the week, reach out to Brett. He's the go-to, as I understand, the go-to CAD guru who makes sure that ProQA interfaces with the CAD. He's the one that certifies that it will work with certain CAD vendors.
He does, and I don't know if IMC does, because the multidisciplinary launcher is not a disqualifier for certification with us. So not all CADs work with that, because basically what the multidisciplinary launcher does, your CAD has to be able to clone a call. It's not going to overwrite on the existing call, so it has to be able to create a whole new call with now the medical protocol in your example. So if your CAD can do it, that could be the errors you're getting. If your CAD can do it, it's just settings that need to be turned on. Now, it sounds like ProQA is sending a message to CAD, and CAD doesn't know what to do with it. Because, it's all HTML tags, so it's sending, hey, launch this, and CAD's freaking out, doesn't know what to do with that message. And that's probably the errors you're getting. So the first question, yes, absolutely what Corey said, Brett is our go-to guy. He's our CAD liaison. But the first question you need to ask is IMC certified or able to do multidiscipline launching?
Yeah, and it sounds like IMC issue to me too, and IMC's a little difficult these days to get in touch with because they've sold.
I'll be as professional as I possibly can and say that IMC has become increasingly more uncooperative in working with ProQA. How's that, Jose? Huh? Pretty good, huh?
Sounds good.
Does that sound accurate to you? That's my understanding from Brett.
And Brett probably said something a little bit different, but yes, that sounds about right.
Okay.
I believe it, because at the conference in Orlando last year, the IMC people that own IMC now didn't even know what IMC was.
And again, a lot of CAD companies, and I'm not calling out IMC specifically, but there's a lot of CAD companies that have been buying out other CAD companies. So like Motorola and Spillman, I forget who bought who, but now they're together. Central Square bought like 10 CADs, which included Tritech and included a bunch of other ones. So as these companies start merging, they start wanting to do less on older products. So you buy And I say you, the agencies buy the newer products that are supported. And I don't know where IMC is. I think they're still a lone wolf in a sea of major CAD companies. But yeah, that's the first step. Does IMC work with multidiscipline launching? If it does, then we can get more involved and see where the error is coming from. But based on what you're telling me, it sounds like IMC is freaking out with the message that ProQ is sending it. Say, hey, open up a new call, and IMC doesn't know what to do with that message.
Okay. I have a list going here, so, oh, looks like somebody, oh, I bet that's York PD. Whenever they put when they put a call on hold,
I'll disconnect.
Okay.
Sorry, I turned the speaker up on the computer so I could answer a phone line real quick, and I forgot
Okay.
about that.
Sorry.
So I'll disconnect on that and leave the
Okay.
computer on. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
So I'm going to address the elephant in the room. The biggest problem that reared its ugly head 3 weeks ago, CDE. All right. And this has never really been a big problem with us. All of a sudden, 3 weeks ago, Waterville had reached out to me saying their person was having their hours rejected. So I reached out to the academy, and not satisfied with the answer and kind of going back and forth, I did escalate that from Arabella Van Boge to Pam Stewart. I have not heard a response back from Pam Stewart. I think I sent that maybe a week ago. So maybe Pam's on vacation, or being optimistic, I'm hoping she's taking the time to not respond back hastily and actually formulate a response based on good information. But what we're being told is everyone has been going by the kind of the 42-hour logic. So when you look at EMD and EFD, right, we're a two-discipline state. So you do 24 hours for your first discipline and 12 hours for your second, which I say this, I think, every QA review. I would like to see IAED update their website, because it still says on the website 36 hours combination for two disciplines, which is technically incorrect. It should really be spelled out 24 hours first discipline, 12 hours second discipline, which still gets you to 36. But I heard that words matter. So, just having that, make sure that that's more specific, because we've had an agency in the past get rejected because they went 18 hours and 18 hours, and obviously that's not going to work because you need 24 and 12. You still get to 36. But anyway, sorry, went down a rabbit hole with that. Going back to CDE, right? So if you're a two-discipline state, 24 hours for your first discipline, 12 hours for your second. Now, going with that, people have had no problem being a Q in one discipline. I will say most of our people in the state do both disciplines. However, for those who only do one discipline queuing, you've got your 30 hours, right? 30 hours will take care of your first discipline for EMD, EMDQ, which in everyone else's mind, 12 hours CDE is needed for fire. You're just EFD, not EFDQ. So that's what brings us to 42 hours. Well, I'm being told by the academy that it needs to be 54 hours because EFD is not related to the discipline that they queue for. So it doesn't make sense that just looking at this logically, it's somebody who queues one discipline needs 54 hours, whereas somebody who queues two disciplines only needs 40 hours. Because it's 42, it's 30, it's 30 plus 12, right? 30 plus 12, 30, no, it's 40. They have it 30 plus the 10. So I don't know, I'm just trying to get my mind wrapped around that because it's becoming a problem. And I know the answer is wait to hear back from Pam Stewart, but I didn't know if you had any insight that you can give us on that. You're muted.
Yeah, I realize that. Unfortunately, I can't control that part of it. I know Pam is out. She was out the last half of last week, and so far this week. Somebody's gonna step in for her because she's gonna be out for a little bit. But I don't know if it's going to be who it's going to be. If somebody's going to step in for her and start answering emails, but she's been out for the last week and a half.
Okay.
You know, that's why when you emailed me about that, you know, that's why I heard you to the academy because,
Yeah.
you know, that's them. They're certs. I
Right.
can help you with PDC software and all that kind of stuff, but certs I can't.
Okay.
I mean, in my case, I'm triple Q. Well, I'm a
So
little
fif-
different. I'm an instructor, but I got to do a whole bunch of hours. Plus, I still got to teach, as you know, Corey, because you're an instructor for ETC. It's our rules are a little different, but yeah, I've never been. I just do a lot of hours and everything. I don't sit down and do the, you know, pretty much I do 30 something hours on each discipline to keep up my stuff plus my cert stuff. So, you know, so I can't speak to that. I've never ran into that to give you anything different.
And I will give feedback that I've heard. So I hear this actually a lot when people go to do their CDEs. They're like, oh, everything I submitted, it's all wiped out. It's like not even in the system. I wonder, just as, you know, suggestion box, throw it in there, which I know it could be a shredder built into it and you probably shred the suggestion. But anyway, I'll throw it out there. What if the Academy retained CDEs historically so people could still see what was allotted to what in the past, say, 3 years or whatever? Have like kind of a, because, you know, people go to do this, they research and like everything's wiped and they can't remember what was going where. It's nice to see. I mean, I'm not saying go back 10 years, but I'm saying like, you know, maybe 3 years might be good to see historically what you've had and how you've done things instead of just wiping the slate clean like right away. Just a suggestion, just a thought.
No, I think it's a good suggestion. And the only additional thing I can offer towards that is when we all moved to the new training portal where we all got to register our stuff, that was phase 1. Phase 2 is the academy's coming over now because one of the things that, because it's 2 different programs, some things aren't being kept. So what's being done in NetExam is not anything as after October is kind of all together. Anything before October, it's on the academy side, and they're not matching with each other. So like if people who did ETC paper-wise, you know, instead of electronically, before October, there's no, I mean, the academy has a record of it, but there's not built into the training portal. We're moving the date right now, if everything keeps on task as we have it now, or on track, I should say, on task, is May 10th, and that may change that piece of it of your suggestion. But I haven't heard anything specific to CDE. All I know is that the academy and the training portal are going to be all one.
Okay.
So instead of 3 different systems, we're going to have at least only 2. And soon the third one will come over. It'll be phase 3. But I don't know if that's going to help. Like I said, I don't know on the CDE side, but it's definitely a good suggestion.
So that leads me to another thing that you kind of segued me to, talking about the registration.
Mm-hmm.
That's been kind of, I can only imagine it's not just us in Maine. I'm sure there are other states that are struggling with the registration portion. Are you seeing that historically there are people struggling with creating an account and doing that? It just seems like there's a lot of steps to do something that shouldn't require so many steps. You know, you create your account, you verify your email address, which that's fine. But I think where a lot of people, you start losing people is when you have to go log back in, click on member info, then enter your agency ID. It's just, why can't that be upfront? Ask me upfront or make it a drop-down list or something like that. Try to make this more user friendly. I mean, even if you just did that, when you say, you know, you put your name, your email address, have a place right there while you have their attention captured. Have a place where you can put in your agency ID or just type in your agency or whatever, drop down list, however it may be. But do that on the front end instead of having to now log back in, figure out where to go. It's just kind of a navigating through the woods kind of deal, and it's easy to get lost.
Yeah. I haven't had it, and granted, I deal with new agencies that they don't know any different. So they do, you know, when we have a new implementation and we tell them to do those kind of things, the bigger pushback, honestly, is the bigger pushback really, honestly, is just more the vouchers than anything else. Not so much getting people registered. And the other pushback that we get is, again, they're new implementations, but they're looking into the future. What happens when they got a new person? Some agencies, and you guys might be the same, you don't issue an email address or department email address until once they're hired. So people who want to get their staff registered, to have them already a seat reserved, whatever they can until they create an email profile, but they don't have a agency profile yet. Those are the things we're running into.
Yeah, so I've always recommended to people, I try to explain, got the train going by. I try to explain that while, yes, this person works for your agency and they are your employee, this is their own personal certification. Therefore, I always recommend people should be using their own personal email address and not a work email, because that will get them registered quicker. Like, let's say somebody doesn't get hired till 3 days before class. Well, it's not really going to help them too much. You
Right.
want them, because you have to register 2 weeks out. So I always and will still recommend people use their personal email address.
Right.
All right, next thing on my list, future of Q. Can you speak to this as a combination? Is there a day coming when a Q class will be combining all? Because a lot of times people feel like Q is Q, right? You grade a call, you grade a call. There's not really much difference when you talk about standards. I mean, there are standards that, universal standards you follow. Is there any future thought about combining EMDQ, EFDQ, EPDQ all into just a one-size-fits-all Q class?
Not in the way you're stating. What they are looking into right now is doing a universal, kind of similar how Altec is right now, where you do universal outside of it, and then you only attend the discipline-specific, whatever it is. If it's all three, then all three. Because there are specific standards to each discipline. Once you get out of the universal, medical, fire, and police have their own specific stuff. So they are in the process of working that. Altec was the first one they wanted to do. So now the next one's going to be Q. They're
Is there
just
a
starting
planned date for that, or?
Not yet. They're just starting the talks now and trying to see. Seeing that they have the roadmap from regular protocols. I can't imagine it being too long, but they're just starting the talks now to try to do it. Where we're realizing it really big time is the remote world. When agencies are trying to register, and you guys do your own classes, but people who don't, they're looking at the website and they're trying to register correctly on a dual or triple discipline, and we don't have a lot of them. We have them, but we have more of the single discipline type of thing. So that's kind of not force us, but kind of shed the light to say, hey, maybe we should do universal for Q like we did for protocols. So that's where they're starting the conversation. That started about a month ago.
Okay. And what are you seeing the future of classes are? Is the academy trying to, even when, COVID is behind us, are they looking at making remote more the norm, or is it still going to be a hybrid? And if it is hybrid, I'm curious. I do like, even though there can be frustrations at times with it, we did experience it with an ETC class, net exam. It would be nice if you had an in-person class. I'm just throwing this out there, and then you took your exam on a computer, though, because now you don't have to worry about it being mailed. Things can get lost in the mail. It takes time. When you do it online, right away if you passed or not. I'm just saying I could see some benefits to having some type of hybrid system like that. Just a thought.
Yeah. So remote is here to stay. That's never going away. We started originally, it's temporary. So many people like it that it's here to stay now. As far as tests, what I've been hearing, again, this is done by the academy, but what I've been hearing is that they are looking, and I don't know if ETC is going to be the first one, but they are looking to doing the test in a digital format, not paper, for just the ease of everything else, like you stated. They get the results right away, although they're not officially certified until it gets to the academy, but they get the results right away, and then the instructors don't have to carry paper. There's a whole other side of that. We are formatting to digital materials only. There aren't going to be any more hard books. There's probably something going to be going out on that in the next week or so, or maybe 2. There's not going to be any more books. Everything's going to be digital.
And is that staying with Mimeo?
It'll be Mimeo. And you just did a class this week, right, with Q?
Yes.
This week. So did everybody use that single sign-on to be able to access the materials? Because that changed a little bit recently too.
Yeah. So
it should be using the same sign-on they used to register.
Yeah. Yes. That's what they used. Yeah.
So instead of having a separate account that they have to create, it's all going to be tied in together.
They
with
did that
sign-on.
for the EFDQ, and now they're going to be doing EMDQ on Monday and Tuesday.
Okay. So that's where you're going to see that kind of stuff when they register. So we're making everybody, I'm sure that you've gotten a notification. So even on-site courses, we're having everybody still register on the portal. And that's a big overtaking because you got old school, like you guys and all that, we just did classes on site and, whoever showed up, showed up. You guys, again, you're a little different because you, Corey, had everybody, who's coming and stuff like that, but agencies will host classes and people just showed up. They never really registered ahead of time or anything like that. So the first step is getting everybody used to, let's register everybody in the class. Once everybody's registered, the next step will be now let's start doing tests digitally. And again, hopefully by the end of this year, maybe, but don't put my hands
I've had to maneuver things because part of me was thinking, it'd just be easier if I send everyone the link. Well, the problem with that is if they're doing EMD, EFD, I don't get a notification who has registered. I guess I could log in and look at it, but it's kind of a process. It'd just be nice to know, get some kind of notification, but I guess I can work on that, just sending out the link if that works better. But everyone's so used to just saying, Corey, I want to be in this class, just put me in the class. But then It's like, well, you got to create your account, and I got to wait till your account's created. I don't know. It's a balancing act. I guess we'll have to have a discussion with all the players to see what their recommendation is. Maybe they say, yeah, just send me the link and we'll take care of it on our end and we'll get them put in the class. I might have to go that route.
And because you're an instructor, you should be able, if you look by the course number, you should be able to look at the roster.
Yes.
That's on there.
I've been able to go into EMD, EFD. I've been able to click all those classes, and that's going to be nice for me when I have to roster them into a different database. I don't have to reach out to the academy in the future. I can go there, click on Gradebook, and I can see. So that will be nice.
Yep. And then we recently, and I say recently, probably in the last 2 months, everything's a blur to me. I want to say 2 months. We're having the instructors, again, it's starting out a remote, but we're having the instructors mark every day complete, not just at the end, but every day. So on EMD class, that's 6 days. We're having the instructor mark every day complete. And then on the last day, they mark the whole complete so they can see the exam. And that's a good thing for us, especially in the academy, because then we know, instead of like the old paper, wasn't here, whatever, they'll show no show completed that day, no show, whatever it is. So when you do the advanced roster, should show up on there for you.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go down the list here, see if anybody has individually, anyone has questions. I do see some phone numbers. 322-1979. Is that somebody from Waldo by chance?
Yeah, that's Misty from Waldo.
Hey, Misty.
Hey.
Do you have any questions, comments, concerns?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay. 323-8390. I do not recognize that number. Who's that?
Liz, Waldo.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns for you?
No, we were just discussing if we did.
Okay. All right. And Andy, I can only guess with all those backslashes, that has to be Andy Jigleski.
No, sir. I'm all good. Thank you.
All right. Well, that's debatable, Andy. All right. Melinda.
That is a fact.
Melinda, do you have anything?
Sorry.
Put in the chat.
You, but I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Melissa?
I can't think of any questions for Jose. Just a plug in the chat there for the MANEMS QA/QI committee. Looking for an EMD representative there. And we released the quality assurance newsletter on mental and behavioral health calls last week. So if folks haven't had an opportunity to view that yet, I sent it out to center administrators and queues that I have associated in the licensing portal, but it's also available on the Maine EMS website if you all want to take a look at that.
Okay, thank you very much. Bob over at Knox.
We're all good down here.
All right. Aaron at Cumberland County. Okay, they're good. Janelle at Westbrook. Janelle's all set. Julia, anything else? I know you've had some feedback earlier. Do you have anything additionally? Catherine down at Saco. I believe Catherine's at Saco. Do you have anything? Catherine's all set. Mike Labby, DPS Augusta. Anything for you?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
All right. Laura, anything additional?
Nope, I'm all set.
Small list, you know, come on.
I know, I
Expected
tried.
like 5, 6. All right. And Maria said all set. Blake, anything?
I'm good, thank you.
Right. Tammy over at Somerset.
I'm good, thanks, Corey.
Tim Hall over at Lewiston Auburn.
All is well here, thank you.
Now, Jose, I have to be specific about that because we have 2 Tim Halls. Can you believe that? One's at Penobscot, one's at Lewiston Auburn. All right, and Tina, Tina from Penobscot. Is that
yes,
Tina?
I'm all set. Thank you.
All right. All right. I believe everyone is all set. Jose, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Look forward to the next one.
Do this again in 6 months.
Yay.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty.
Thank
Bye,
you all.
guys. Bye.